Assyrians in Georgia number over 3,000, and most arrived in the Southern Caucasus in early 20th century when their ancestors fled present-day Turkey and Iran during the Assyrian genocide. History. Historically, the first Assyrians arrived in Georgia in the 6th century AD, when 13 Assyrian monks from the city of Edessa came to Georgia and established the Shomgvime monastery. Scholars have linked their contribution to the Christianization of Georgia, with St. Nino leading the way of converts from paganism. Assyrians came in contact with Georgians once again in the 1760s. Assyrians under Ottoman rule were looking for some kind of protection from religious and ethnic persecution. Patriarch of the Assyrian Church of the East Mar Avram requested of Georgian King Erekle II protection for Assyrians and the Yazidis of present-day Turkey. In April 1770, Georgian troops, under Russian command, headed towards the city of Akhaltsikhe. At the same time, Assyrian Bishop Ishaya left Tbilisi and carried letters to Assyrian and Yazidi leaders, whence the Georgian king invited them to fight together against the Ottomans. The Assyrians and Yazidis were prepared to move against the Ottomans whenever the support from Erekle II arrived, but Russian General Toklaban changed his mind and turned his detachment back to Kartli. The plans for military cooperation failed, but during the war that ensued, an Assyrian community of several dozen families appeared in Georgia. They arrived in Mukhani from Persia and the Ottoman Empire. The second wave of Assyrian immigrants arrived when Russia signed the Treaty of Turkmenchay with Persia in 1828, where Assyrians and Kurds from Iran arrived in Georgia as workers. They also arrived in the second half of the 19th century and settled in Tbilisi, becoming Russian and later Soviet citizens. By the end of the 19th century, there were over 5,000 Assyrians living in Georgia. A fourth and largest wave came in between the years of 1915 and 1918, as Assyrians fled from the Assyrian genocide. Today's Assyrian community in Georgia. On May 15, 2005, United States President George W. Bush met with the leaders of Georgia's Assyrians. The meeting was mostly about the situation of Assyrians in Iraq. Assyrian leaders also gave the American president a letter as well. When asked by Edgar Bitbanov, the member of Assyrian International Congress, nowadays American Georgian forces are on Assyrian soil in Iraq. Of course, we aren't indifferent to the fortune of Assyrians in Iraq. What's the future like? What can you say about it? Bush answered, "We consider that every nation is equally responsible to find its own way to develop and achieve its own object. Assyrians are equal in right to any other peoples living in Iraq these days. Assyrians, other nations in Iraq, first of all, should change the way of thinking, should act more persistently, resolutely and bravely to achieve their own objects and principles. All these are in the hands. The USA always stands for, defends and supports people fighting for justice, freedom, independence and democracy." Assyrian churches in Georgia. Marshamon Bar Sabai Assyrian Religious Cultural Center, Tbilisi.